What's up, everyone? What's happening? Okay, so the other day, Facebook has placed a few people on the right on a ban. They kicked them off their platform, off of Facebook and Instagram. Milo Yiannopoulos, Paul Joseph Watson, Laura Loomer, another individual who I'm not familiar with, and Louis Farrakhan. Surprisingly, I don't make the connection. They wrote in articles that it was a banning far right extremists or something like that. They put Farrakhan in that category. He's not a far right extremist. He's not a far right at all. He's more in line with the left. He might have a couple of viewpoints similar to the right, probably because of his religion. He is a very big anti-Semite, though. I mean, that's well established. He built a whole career on hating Jews. You could just see all the footage all of his speeches and all the things that he said. Why did they ban him a year ago? Why did they wait till now to ban him? They got rid of Milo and Watson and Loomer. Citing that they're guilty of hate speech, even though the left cannot define what hate speech is. They also say that they incite violence, which they don't. They said that they have a connection because they've done videos with Gavin McInnes, and he's placed on a ban, so they had to get rid of them too because they would like to police not only your language on their platform, but they also want to police your activities off the platform. So if you do something that they don't approve of, off of the platform, then they'll boot you from their platform because they don't approve of whose show you did or what you're doing or something like that. Make no mistake about it. This is a attack on conservatives. They placed Farrakhan in the same category. Some people say they feel they got rid of Farrakhan just to say, hey, look, we're not targeting anyone. We're not targeting conservatives. We went after Farrakhan. But then when it was written up, in any of these articles, they said, it was a ban on far right extremists, and then they mentioned Farrakhan. So it's like, but he's not a far right extremist. I don't get it. Could they possibly, be trying, could they have possibly gotten rid of Farrakhan because of the growing number of anti-Semitic sentiment within the left, within the Democratic Party, and within Democratic cities? New York, the state of New York, New Jersey, and California has the most anti-Semitic attacks, especially here in Brooklyn. It has the most, and according to the NYPD and the New York Times, it's almost never a white guy that's committing these acts of terror, at least not here in Brooklyn. I don't know about Jersey and in California, but at least certainly not in Brooklyn. So now they have to distance themselves from anyone who would have that type of sentiment. So that's probably why they booted Farrakhan. They got rid of Milo and Watson and Loomer in my opinion, because election time is right around the corner and these individuals have a large following. And of course, they're going to be out there showing their support for Trump. So they got to get rid of as many Trump supporting people that have a large platform, that have a large amount of people following them. They're trying to cut down on how much attention Trump can get, there's a lot of other guys they didn't go after. A lot of other people they didn't go after. They probably didn't. Guys like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and Dave Rubin. We can go on and on with quite a few other people that they could have targeted, and they didn't. Probably because it's harder to explain why you place them on a ban when they truly, all they're doing is engaging in dialogue. They don't issue threats. There's no hate speech. There's no insults. They're not offensive. They just have the conversations. Milo, I mean, it's a little easier to say you ban Milo because of his antics, right? Because of the things he says, because he's insulting, because he's offensive, because he antagonizes people. He gets under their skin, and then you could just make anything up and just say, that's why we got rid of him. And since everyone else got rid of him, I mean, we can get rid of him too. I mean, look at how they did Alex Jones, right? Once one social media giant booted him, then the next one, then the next one, then the next one. Twitter was the last one, and it was like, well, once one does it, it's easier for the rest of them to follow suit and just say he violated, any kind of terms of service. Now, I'm not a fan of Alex Jones at all. I don't get his popularity at all. I mean, I don't know if he really is that stupid or if it's just an act he's putting on. But he's a conspiracy theorist. I'm not a fan of conspiracy theories. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't care for that nonsense. And one of the reasons they got rid of him is because he's a conspiracy theorist. But how come you're not going after the flat earthers or the people who believe in the Mandela effect or people who believe in gang stalking or 9/11 was an inside job or the moon landing was fake or there's a hollow earth? I mean, we can go on and on with all the different conspiracy theorists that are out there that are still online right now. They're not going after them, but they went after Alex Jones, and that's probably because of his popularity and because of his connection with Trump. So he had to go. It didn't help much much for him at least, being a conspiracy theorist with the whole Sandy Hook shooting thing, what he said was truly disgusting. I mean, if I was a family member, if I lost a child or something in the Sandy Hook shooting, I would be extremely upset for somebody to say that it was a false flag shooting. It was, what he said was completely stupid, and I agree. But is it worth kicking him off the platform if you're not going to kick all of the other people off the platform that feel that Sandy Hook was a false flag shooting? And there's so many people who believe that nonsense. So but you're not targeting them because they don't have the large audience that Alex Jones has. So election time is right around the corner. Let's start trimming the fat. Let's get rid of any of the conservatives. And then they labeled everyone as like far right extremists. And anyone who's on the right, even if they're moderate, all you do, if you just disagree with the left and you're called an alt-right, or you're called a white supremacist, a white nationalist, a Nazi, you're called a far right extremist. You hold extreme views because you don't agree with the nonsense of the left. Meanwhile, they hold extreme views themselves. They are alt-left. They are far left extremists. I mean, when is Antifa going to get booted off of Facebook or any of the social media platforms? They are a domestic terrorist group. Antifa stands for anti-fascist. They are the anti-fascist fascists, is what they are. They use fascist means to shut down opposition, to shut down free speech. They use violence to intimidate people. This is what they do. Is Facebook going to look for all of the hate groups out there? Black nationalists or black supremacist hate groups like the black Israelites here in America, the Hebrew Israelites, whatever they call themselves. Are they going to find them on social media and on Facebook and Instagram and boot them off the platform for hate speech? Probably not. So it's so easy for them to look at someone like Milo and Paul Joseph Watson and Laura Loomer and say they engage in hate speech. And it's like, well, can you define what hate speech is? And it's like, a conservative speaking person, that's what hate speech is to people on the left. I don't know, if they have the right to. I mean, I guess they have the right to do it if they own, it's a privately owned company, supposedly a privately owned company. People on the left are defending them, saying that, but it's like, how many people on the left hate capitalism and hate private corporations and property rights and hate big business and hate the 1%ers and the CEOs and the rich? And now here you are defending them when they just boot people off of their platform for speaking freely. Now all of a sudden you're defending them like they have every right. In one breath, they shouldn't have any rights because they're just robbing all the people who work for them, right? But then the next breath, as long as they're doing something that the left approves of, then they have every right to. I'm not sure because I didn't spend much time reading about the subject, but I did start reading about the connection between the government and Silicon Valley, about subsidies and tax breaks being issued to them. Other things, the social media being used by the military, by the government for certain things. For an example, the government recently tested a broadcast system type thing on Facebook, and in the event of an emergency, so they can broadcast to the people. And also law enforcement uses social media to track down terrorism and other crimes committed and stuff like that, human trafficking and people sharing information through Facebook that, about their criminal activity. The police go through Twitter and social media and stuff like that, and they catch gang members and stuff like that. So it is a platform being used by the government in one case or another. Twitter has Donald Trump. They said they can't get rid of Donald Trump because he's the president of the United States, and they cannot block him because the people need to hear what the president has to say. Whether he says something smart or not, whether he says something useful or not, it doesn't matter. The people deserve the right to hear what he has to say, so you cannot block him from using Twitter. This way he can continue to communicate with the public. And then they also said that Donald Trump cannot block anyone from following him and following his tweets. It has to be a public platform for Donald Trump because he's the president, right? So it's like, so you're getting involved in these social media companies, making it almost a public work, making it almost a public utility company. But then in the next breath, well, it's a private company. So it's like you have one foot in the private sector and one foot in the public, and you're just going back and forth, whatever it suits you, whenever it works for you. So I think we definitely need the conversation in what is allowed. Morally, I think it's completely wrong to just boot people off of social media for any of your arbitrary whim, on some arbitrary whim. But we definitely need the conversation about the legality of it. Is it, should it be legal to eliminate people from Facebook or from any of the social media companies because you don't agree with what they're saying, because you feel what they're saying is a violation of something. We really have to figure out if they are private corporations or not, or if they're public. If they're private, then the government needs to completely step out of the social media business. They cannot be there giving out subsidies, tax breaks, or anything like that. They cannot. There could be no favors between the government and social media. No deals worked out. Anytime taxpayers or tax money is being allocated in the direction of Silicon Valley, anytime that happens, then this is not public, private property anymore. Now this is not a private industry. This is now a public industry, because if you're receiving tax money in any way, shape, or form, or favors or anything like that, I mean, if a politician offers a favor to social media, it's like, well, we pay the politician. They work for us, so they shouldn't be giving favors to any corporation. This is crony capitalism. And if you have crony capitalism happening with Silicon Valley and the Democratic Party, let's just say, well, then those companies are now public companies, because you are using the American politicians for favors, to do whatever, for business. Therefore, you have to represent us as well, since we pay the politicians. What benefit do I get, and you and anyone else, if Facebook has any kind of business dealings with the politician? Where's our benefit? If I start a business, will my business receive any favors from any of the politicians? How much money is being donated, either donated from Silicon Valley to these politicians, or how much favors is the politicians kicking back to social media, right? Like how many regulations are they allowing them to avoid, or what regulations are they putting in place after these social media companies become these big giants, and then they place these new regulations allowing the older companies, the Facebooks and the Twitter, to avoid these regulations, but then the new companies trying to spring up cannot afford these regulations, and therefore there is no competition other than the handful of companies that run social media. So it's almost like a damn monopoly. So you got to be a damn fool if you think that the Silicon Valley, that whole industry, is straight up just private ownership and just a private industry. It's not. It hasn't been private in a long time. But we really need to get that together. So this is just my thoughts, and whatever, my opinion. It doesn't mean absolutely anything at all, pretty much. And I don't think anyone gives a shit. I have a lot of fun making these videos anyway. So feel free to comment. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video.